In this video, I'm going to show you some methods to prevent mold from developing in your bathrooms. I'm out on the West Coast helping my brother on his house for a few days, and let me just walk you through some of the stuff we're doing. When we demoed the old tile, we found really bad mold in 3 different areas. One by the drain to the washer, one by the HVAC unit, and a couple by the shower. I guess that's 4 areas. Now, all we could see was the subfloor, but I had a sneaking suspicion that that mold was probably going up into the wall cavities as well. We're working on a 60s styles ranch house, so it does have plaster on the outside of the walls, which will not mold, but inside of that, we have our drywall backer board. And as we know about drywall, the paper faces like to mold. So as we ripped that apart, we found pretty horrific mold, mostly surrounding the HVAC unit. We found pretty horrific mold all down through here underneath the HVAC unit. I'm guessing either condensation or a leak developed that was not fixed for a really long time. When you look at the wood underneath here, you can see, yeah, there is some mold. And it's just kind of a dark color, so if you were to test that, you definitely come back with some mold. But overall, the wood is in pretty good shape, and all we need to do to get rid of that little bit of mold is run the power sander over it, and it'll be good to go. Mold is a surface phenomenon. Now over here in the shower, we had a really bad leak too, but you can see same thing. Yeah, there is some mold down here. Some of that might be tar paper residue as well. But again, wood in pretty good shape, but the drywall was absolutely wrecked. Now you can't really see the subfloors here, but we have the old 1x6 angle plank, and it dries really well. We're over a vented crawl space here, which is not my favorite, but in an old house, it's to be expected. And all those cracks in the boards just allowed the water that hit the subfloor to dry out, and there was just a little bit of rot, but the mold was not bad at all. So the products we use in going back are going to change quite a bit. For one, we're using a different insulation. The old insulation in the wall was some prehistoric fiberglass. It doesn't look too much different from what we use today, and it had a foil face on it. But the asphalt smell from it is just off the charts, so I'm not sure if they used to use an asphalt binder or what it was, but it's super strong and probably still off-gassing VOCs to this day. Now that's not my primary concern though. My primary concern is breathability. So if you look at our wall cavities now, you can see we filled them with mineral wool. Now this is an interior wall. We just did it for the sound deadening because when you're in here dropping a big load, this is where the toilet's gonna be, you don't want everybody to hear that. Now, around the shower, it would be nice to continue with our sound deadening insulation through here, but I'm not going to, and that's for a very specific reason. The showers are really prone to leaking. Now, we are doing an acrylic pan down at the bottom, which probably won't leak, but the tile is likely to develop leaks over time on the walls. It did here. It was pretty bad in a couple areas. And I want airflow and evaporation to be able to take place at a much higher level than if I had filled the wall with mineral wool, even though mineral wool allows for vapor to pass through easily. It's going to limit evaporation because the air cannot pass through as easily. This is an old and leaky house. I'm also doing the same thing over here, all right? Down here at the bottom, I would deem this as a highly likely area for a leak to develop. I'm leaving the insulation out of there. This wall cavity as well. It's highly likely there's going to be moisture problems inside of this when that washer drain slips out or who knows what. We already had a small problem with the P-trap. The P-trap was just dripping just a little bit around the ring there, and we just couldn't get it to stop leaking. Now, luckily, we found this before we got any further along in the project, but it would have been really easy if we hadn't been paying good attention to close that wall up and have a little leak in there that turns into a mold problem over time, which it absolutely will. Now this brings me to my next step in the process to prevent mold. You can see we've got our drywall backer board on the other side. This is how they did it post World War II. It wasn't wood or metal lath. Even though when you look up here, that is real plaster. There's probably gypsum plaster. It doesn't mold and it dries quite well. But that drywall backer paper is gonna grow mold so easily. You can see it already wants to happen down there at the bottom. So we are using what is essentially some fiberglass drywall. Now, this is not technically drywall. I'm not really using this for what it's meant to be used for. This is sheathing. You're gonna see this product on a lot of exteriors on commercial buildings usually if you pay attention. You see like some colorful thing on the outside, but it's not wrapped. That's usually some type of product like this. This is called dense glass. All it is just gypsum in the middle, but it has fiberglass. You see those little fibers here? has fiberglass on the outside instead of paper. Now this does make for a bit of a textured surface though, if you can see that on camera, so you can't just paint over it. Using this product will require us to fully skim coat the wall to make it look nice. Now it's a textured wall anyways though, so it's not a big deal. Now the whole thing was quite last minute, or else we could have ordered the actual drywall version of it instead of the sheathing version, but as I showed you, it's a gypsum core with a fiberglass face. It will work for what we're doing. It's breathable, it's stable, it's not going to mold. We just got to deal with that texture. This stuff comes in at about 23 perms, which is quite vapor open. And you can see we're going to use it on any area where we expect that there could be a leak, either in the wall cavity itself or nearby where it could come down and then wick up into the drywall. So it's going to be all along here where the washer and dryer will be, all the way around to this shared wall here with the bathroom. It's going to be all the way around on the outside of the shower area, but not on the inside. We'll use something different there. And it's going to be all the way around down where the toilet and sink go as well. Most of the mold problems I see in old homes are usually coming from some type of leak that people don't know about. I saw it in the mudroom and bathrooms here where we ripped everything up in 3 or 4 areas. I also saw an absolutely horrific spot behind the refrigerator when we ripped the kitchen out a few years ago. And there weren't big signs that there was a problem here either. These weren't roof leaks where you saw like a wet spot on the drywall. You would have to be very attentive to know that there was any type of problem. And if you're somebody who is very sensitive to mold, which it's estimated, I think that like 1 in 5 people probably are, this could be a big problem for you and it could be very hard to find. Now we're not doing the upper parts of the wall just to save time. If you've ever ripped out this old plaster, it is a ton of work. You cut it with a grinder or bust it up, you gotta pick it up. There's nails everywhere. The lath can be really nasty where there is wire lath, oftentimes in the corners and around the windows. And so we wanna avoid that mess, trying to save some time, save some money. There's a couple other methods we could do as well. You know, down at the bottom, this would probably be my favorite option. That would be to use plank. You know, we could just do a pine plank on the walls. We showed you the studs over there where there had been really bad leaks and there's not much mold on them. That's because wood is already quite mold resistant from the natural occurring chemicals in it. That pine plank would be quite a bit more money. Now you wouldn't have to go to the ceiling though. You could just stop it here. You know, you could do a nosing, or it's kind of like a picture rail, but it's not really a picture rail. Stop it here, just do the bottom half. And then the nice thing about that pine plank as well is that you could take it off pretty easily and access your plumbing inside of the wall. If that's what the home had, he would have been able to run the new pipes without doing any real serious damage. They could have been removed and put back on. They also breathe. It's a pretty sweet option to prevent mold. The problem with these little leaks is that they can cause a lot of mold inside of your wall, and you just don't know about it. And it's not a matter of if, but when, in my opinion. Whenever I tear into an old house, it's pretty common that I find a handful of areas that have pretty bad mold in them, even if the house didn't smell musty and didn't really have any visible problems. Pipes don't last nearly as long as the house. Toilets overflow, pipes freeze and break. Sometimes you just have a condensation problem and it drips down and it has nowhere to dry to. So we want to design the space to where it's going to be forgiving to leaks. And hopefully when those leaks develop, they're not going to grow a bunch of mold real fast. By avoiding the paper face on drywall, even if it's mold resistant drywall, that still has a paper face, we're giving ourselves a much better shot at not having a big mold problem when a leak does develop. Now, it probably won't be for a long time, but you never know. A couple other small things we're doing to prevent mold is, one, we're choosing plywood, not OSB. It dries out much better, doesn't break down nearly as fast. And we are also doing new vents up here, and the vents will actually go outside. You look up there, right there, and right there. Those are 2 new vents. Where do you think the old ones went? If you guessed into the attic, you would be correct, and this is very common in old homes. That's just pumping moisture and poop fumes up into the attic, where they can then come back down through your poorly sealed ceiling for most people, and you can breathe them in, or you can get mold problems. The system is not perfect, but it's gonna be a lot more forgiving than the standard ways of doing things. Thanks for watching, guys. I have a free guide to healthy building linked in the description below. If you're interested, go download that and let me know what you think down in the comments.